saddle, he wore a shining star. His job to offer battle to bad men near and far.
So at the start of the movie, we could see a railroad is being constructed by some blacks and mixed race, and they're working for the whites. So from this, we could say that movie setting is around the 19th century. This movie is also an old western classic because we could see some people dancing, having fun, and some cowboys shooting, riding horses. Goofy, funny part like when these two characters are shrinking into the quicksand and didn't even notice.
Is the world rising?
I don't know, but whatever it is, I hate it.
So this movie also have some kind of dark humor that may offend some black people, like this part right here when this guy pick up the hand car instead of helping the black dudes, making them crawl the quicksand. And ooh, what happened? Oh, sorry, bro. The fuck wrong with you? The scene switches to the office of General Attorney, also antagonist Helena Mars, which is Goldfish, head of a henchman Taggart. As they discuss the plan on the railroad, then they decided to build the railroad into the town of Rockridge. And being like any other government official, they bully the heck out of the townsfolk and trash and attacks them, making the townsfolk leave their town. Upon the attack, the townfolk wasn't happy, of course. So they asked the dumbass of a governor, William J. Lee Potamain, to appoint them a sheriff, only to be persuaded by LaMarche to appoint Bart, who is about to be executed, by the way, in hopes to cause chaos. After the initial hostile reception, where Bart pretends to take himself hostage to escape, Bart in the entire movie relies on his quick wit and assistance of Jim, an alcoholic gunslinger, also known as the Wacko Kid, to overcome all the problems they face. So the first problem Bart faces is subduing Mongo, an immensely strong yet pretty dumb, yet also philosophical henchman sent to kill him. He does it by doing a false delivery trap type thing. And then Bart outwit a German seductress for hire Lily von Schlupp at her own game by making Lily fall in love with him instead. Upon Mongo's release, he vaguely informed Bart of Lamar's connection to the railroad and the town of Rockridge. So after discovering this information, Bart and Jim decided to visit the railroad worksite, only to discover from his best friend Charles that the railroad is planned to go through Rockridge. And just a moment later, Taggart and his men arrive to kill Bart and Jim, only to Jim to outshoot them and force them to retreat. LaMarche, furious that his scheme has backfired, recruited an army of thugs, including common criminal, motorcycle gangster, Ku Klux Klansman, Nazi, and Methodist. Also, Bart and Jim were lurking at the area and disguised themselves as the Methodists in order to figure out what was LaMarche's plan. Upon knowing the plan of LaMarche, Bart introduced the white folks of the town to the black, Chinese, and Irish rail workers. They have all agreed to help in exchange for acceptance by the community and a place to stay. He explains his plan to defeat LaMarche's army by building a perfect copy of the town as a diversion. As they labored all night to construct a decoy of the town, so Bart just realized that attackers not gonna believe that there's a town with no people inside. Or to really fool the attackers, the townsfolk decided to construct copies of themselves, but they didn't have time. In order to buy time, Bart, Jim, and Mongo constructed the Governor William J. Thruway, forcing the raiding party to send for change to pay the tolls once through the toll booth. Their attacks the Fate Town and its population of dummies, which have already been booby-trapped with dynamites. But the ignition of the dynamite has failed, so Bart asks Jim to use his sharpshooting skill and ignite the bomb. As the bomb exploded and launches all the bad guys and horses up skyward, the town people result and attack the villain, resulting in a brawl between the townsfolk, railroad worker, and LaMarche thugs. The fight continues and breaks the fourth wall and bursting into neighboring movie sets. We continue to the studio commentary cafeteria for a food fight and spilling out of Warner Brothers. LaMarche, after realizing he has been beaten, calls a taxi in order to for the cabin to drive me off this picture. As he ducked down into the main Chinese movie theater, which is showing the premiere of Blazing Saddles at the moment. As he settled to his seat, he sees on screen Bart arriving on horseback outside the theater. As Bart blocks Lamar's way of escape, he shot him in the groin and defeating the antagonist once and for all. After that, Bart and Jim enters the movie theater to watch the end of the film, in which Bart announces to the townsfolk that he's moving on because his work is done. As Bart rides out of the town, he meets Jim and finding him eating popcorn and invites him along to the Nowhere special. Two friends briefly ride into the desert before dismounting and boarding a limousine which drives off into the sunset.
I personally think Blazing Saddles a very unique and bold comedy that stands out from most movies, especially because of how it uses satire to make fun of serious topics like racism and stereotypes in old Western films. Since the movie is directed by Mel Brooks, the movie doesn't follow normal storytelling rules and instead uses random, unexpected humor like breathing the fourth wall and including ridiculous scenes that surprise the audience. I personally found parts of it really funny because of how chaotic and unpredictable it is, but at the same time, some jokes felt uncomfortable or outdated, especially for modern viewers.
However, I understand that the purpose of the joke is not to offend but criticize and expose how absurd those attitudes are. The characters are also memorable and exaggerated, which add to comedic effect. Overall, I think Blazing Saddles is an important comedy because of it push boundary and make people think while still being entertained.